Hi, this is Reggie York. This is a presentation on describing the knowledge base for a research study. It's a preview of a chapter in my book entitled Conducting Social Work Research. Before reviewing this chapter, you're expected to know a few major things about the research, about the knowledge base, because it's been covered in previous chapters in this book. I'm going to list several of them here. And, excuse me, going back there. These are some things you should know about this. So think about those things before you begin this presentation. Here are a few more things you should know. So if you will look at each of these, see if you think you need to do some further review of these concepts before continuing with this particular presentation, because this presentation is based on the assumption that you already know these things. Here are some things this chapter should add to your understanding based on your review of this particular textbook. One is the role of knowledge in research. What, what role does it play? What does it contribute, and so forth. Also, how to find literature for your knowledge base. Also, how to organize your knowledge base. How to present your knowledge base. And such theories, such concepts, excuse me, as theory, paradigm, ideology, and evidence. We won't talk as much about how to find the literature that's in the book that is rather technical. I'll let you do that with your examination of the information from the book. So what is the knowledge base for research study? Is it the knowledge that informs your research study? For example, does it guide your determination of things you will do uh, in your study? Um, or is it based primarily on your opinion or the published literature? I'm sorry, back up. First question. Excuse me. Uh, I'm sorry for that snafu there. Number one, is it the knowledge that informs your research study? Yes, it certainly is. Number two, is it based primarily on your opinion or the published literature? It is based on the published literature, not your opinion. This is not the place primarily for you to offer your opinion about the world. It's your review of existing knowledge about the theme of your study. What does the knowledge base contribute? Does it A, provide guidance on how you will define your study variables, or B, give you justification for doing what you had decided to do before you consulted with the literature? Which one is it? Which is the better answer here? I would say the better answer is A, provide guidance on how you will define your variables. If you abide by the spirit of scientific inquiry, you'll realize that research is a process of discovery, not justification. Therefore, B, it's not something you do. You don't look for the literature that supports what you already believe to be the case. You look for the literature that will guide you, regardless of whether it supports what you already believe. Number two, does it inform you of appropriate theories or tell you which statistical tests you should use? Well, I'd say it should inform you of appropriate theories. It's probably not going to be of much help to you in finding a statistical test. You've got to look elsewhere for that. Which of the following are addressed by the knowledge base? How about let's look at what, why, and how. Hit the pause button and look at these what, why, and how and decide whether one of these is the best or if all of the above are correct. Okay, I would say that all of the above is correct. It does address what is the theme being conducted, meaning how should you conceptualize it, how you should define concepts and so forth. In other words, it focuses on what this thing is. If you're talking about depression, what is depression? If you're talking about anxiety, what is anxiety? Um, and so forth. Number two, why are we studying this theme? Why is it important to study anxiety in regard to social work kinds of services? Uh, I would say because it's a prevalent problem of people who seek social work services. So And then how can we conduct research that offers guidance in our understanding of this theme? So I'd say again, all of the above is the best answer to this particular question. What is a theory? Is it an attempt to explain? Yes, it is. Must it pass the test of research to be considered a theory? Meaning, must there be a certain amount of research that supports the theory in order for you to consider it to be a theory? I would say the answer is no. A theory usually comes before research. You come up with an idea, then you test that through research. Must it be published to be a theory? I would say no. There are various kinds of theories, some of which are published, some of which are not. Some are more formal than others. And you have theories about all kinds of things in life yourself, based on your experiences. What does the theory contribute? Does it guide our statement of the study hypothesis? Yes. Does it guide our decision of what statistical test we will employ? No. Does it help us to analyze the client's problems in our search for an intervention? I would say yes. If knowledge is what causes behavior that you're dealing with for your client, then some kind of training might make perfectly good sense to use as your service. What is a paradigm? Well, a paradigm is a conceptual framework that guides our search for knowledge. It helps us to decide where to seek knowledge. Different paradigms guide different people in their search for knowledge and will have a limiting effect upon the knowledge they find, but it will help them to know where to go for knowledge. If someone said, I embrace a feminist paradigm, I would say, well, that means you are going to consider gender to be an important variable in any particular study that you would undertake. So you're very likely going to be doing studies that compare men and women in regard to various themes because you embrace a feminist paradigm which says gender is very, very important. What is an ideology? An ideology is a system of beliefs, values, and doctrines that shapes the understanding of those who embrace it. So it's a number of different things that it helps or it is based on beliefs, values, and doctrines. Your ideology may shape your belief in capitalism as superior to communism because of the values and doctrines that shape that choice. I use the word doctrines here because doctrine is a little bit more authoritative kind of concept. If you follow a doctrine, it means you're probably pretty unchangeable. So an ideology usually is a long-term thing, meaning it is not easy to change. Let's look at evidence. Evidence is the results of scientific studies which presents data regarding the success of selected treatments of selected target behaviors. Here's one example. A group of clients are measured on the depression scale before and after they are given cognitive behavior therapy. So basically talking about the results of a scientific study. Evidence is not an opinion or a theory or the fact that you have 20 years of experience. So one should not say, my 20 years of clinical experience is my evidence. That would not be an appropriate statement because it would be an inappropriate use of the word evidence. Your 20 years of clinical experience may be a very good guide for you, but it's not an example of evidence. When you present your knowledge base, you should organize it from the general to the specific. Start with it nationally or whatever before coming to the local perspective on it to give people some perspective on what it is you're dealing with. Keep it focused and meaningful. Uh, don't go straying off into various places. When you organize your literature into an outline is a very good thing to have because it helps you see how you are organizing, how you should organize it. Or after you've written a certain amount, if you go back and then do an outline, you'll see how well it seems to be organized. You may find yourself when you go back and do that outline that you're jumping around in a way that's not terribly well organized. Include information on the importance of the theme of your study, the definition of key concepts, in the analysis of the theme. Uh, so, how important is it? How do you define the different concepts? Uh, is self-esteem and self-efficacy the same thing, for example? There's a lot of concepts that may be first cousins but are not identical, and the reader of your study will need to know something about how you have defined those concepts for your study. Remember, as we reflect on this presentation, the knowledge base is the first step you take once you decide on the purpose of your study and the kind of thing that is your general research question. You will use a knowledge base to guide you. It will guide your investigation in many different ways, as we have talked about here. That is the end of the presentation. I hope this was